We also saw some recent policy adjustments for REDMA. Do you want to touch on those?
Yeah, my soapbox. I'm gonna need a new soapbox.
I know you love these policy changes.
I've been advocating for a long time that we needed the early marketing period to be extended. When COVID happened, the superintendent of real estate did extend it for an additional 3 months. So instead of getting 9 months of early marketing period, you got 12 months. And so, since then we've been telling them this needs to be a permanent change, and they've been listening. So this is now a permanent change. Early marketing period will be 12 months. This gives developers an additional amount of time to hit their pre-sale financing targets and get their building permit in place. This is incredibly important when we think about down markets in particular. Knowing that you've got this extra time to hit those pre-sale financing targets will hopefully ensure that we don't see the same complete drop-off of supply. So in 2019, we saw a number of projects just not get put onto the market because there was concern around hitting some of these pre-sale targets. This little bit of time is going to help that. That's going to help our overall market stability because rather than this feast and famine, supply now and not supply tomorrow, this is going to help even all of that out.
Let's jump into the next trending topic of the day, the stress test. We know that the minimum qualifying rate has recently increased. So OSFI restated that they were going to continue to re-examine the minimum qualifying rate for uninsured mortgages. And this really led to a reevaluation as to what an appropriate rate would be, the benchmark standard. So the new proposal for the qualifying rate is for uninsured mortgages to sit at the higher of either the mortgage contract rate plus 2% or the 5.25% as a minimum floor. And what this really means is that those are the rates that a bank, a chartered bank, for an uninsured mortgage would need to approach and understand the debt servicing abilities for an applicant. And this is really, really important because these final amendments to the revised guidelines are expected by May 24th. They haven't been proven out just yet, but it is the expectation that they will be coming into force June 1st of 2021. So we're just a few short weeks away from that. We're going to be following it very closely. So the impacts of B20 are likely going to be instantaneous. It's our expectation that this will have a significant reduction in buying power, somewhere between 3 to 4%, primarily targeted towards first-time homebuyers and family upsizers. Keep in mind that the change in buying power from the interest rate decrease as a result of the global pandemic back in March 2020 was something in and around a 5% increase in affordability. So as interest rates fell down, we saw that affordability improved for many. And so what this adjustment does is essentially removes the increased affordability from record low interest rates. In a way, it normalizes the marketplace for where we have sat with interest rates from 2017 all the way through to 2020. Now, this change essentially nullifies additional affordability, and while the intent is all about increasing affordability, the outcome from our perspective is probably the opposite. Less affordability, greater challenge in pre-approval hurdles for buyers, and further constraints in the supply of housing. So while the intent is all about to increase affordability, the outcome from our perspective is probably the opposite, less affordability. There's going to be greater challenge in pre-approval hurdles for buyers. There's certainly further constraints of supply of housing, and our expectation is that there's a real run on housing all the way up until the enactment of that policy. And so that 5% that you're essentially doing your best to take out of the marketplace is likely appreciating, and that's one of the reasons why from March all the way through to June, our expectation is that you're going to see an increase of property values somewhere equal to the amount that's just been reduced out as a result of the policy shift.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when this goes into place too, the group that this affects the most is the group that we kind of need to help. So it's that first-time home buyer, or it's that group that is trying to upsize maybe because they need that family home, right? It's those groups that struggle the most in finding affordable homes to live in to meet their needs. Because other people that are in the market or who obviously have more cash, this change doesn't affect them really. It's unfortunately that first-time home buyer or that upsizer that gets the impact of this, unfortunately.
Suze, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, that went by fast today.
As always, I'm going to say what we always do. Thank you so much for taking the time. What we are going to share, though, is that we're always interested in feedback. So if there's questions, points of interest, or any projects that you want us to dive deep on, our recommendation is to fire those in the comments below. Also, give us a thumbs up hit that like button, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. That's gonna give you access to all the incredible content that we always push out of the shop, right? You're gonna hit Newswire, which is a daily update. There's the monthly presale pulse, gives you access to great data of what you've seen today, and then of course, puts you first in line for unit allocations and for access to inventory as we release through our projects. So looking forward to seeing you guys online.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.